Our topic this week involves humanism and nature. So the prelude piece I've selected is called Woodland Soliloquy by the composer Richard Pick, who was a composer in Chicago. I had the chance to meet Richard and work with him in 1998, 1999. This is one of his more famous pieces. It's also been called an exercise in how to steal from Debussy and get away with it.
Excellent. Thank you, David. Good morning, everyone. My name is Zach, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees here at South Valley Unitarian Universalist Society. My pronouns are he and his. Come, come, whoever you are welcome here. No matter your age, your size, the color of your eyes, your hair, your skin, you are welcome here. No matter your gender, whom you love, how you speak, or whatever your abilities, you are welcome here. You are welcome whether you come here with laughter in your heart or tears in your eyes. You are welcome here. No matter what you have experienced in the past, no matter what awaits you in the future, you are welcome here. Whether you believe in God all of the time, some of the time, or none of the time, you are welcome here. This is a community of open minds, loving hearts, and willing hands. You are welcome here at South Valley Unitarian Universalist Society.
This week was quite a week for those of us here in Utah. Our numbers for COVID are beginning to rise again, and I know that has been weighing on all of our hearts. Earlier this week, I received an email from the County of Salt Lake to faith leaders in this community, begging us to please remind our congregations to be vigilant in this time of COVID. 3 weeks ago, our numbers were in the 400s of new cases each day. Yesterday, it was over 1,000. I know this is a trying time and we are weary. We are weary in the midst of this COVID, and we don't know yet when we will be able to gather again, but I implore you to continue to be vigilant, to reach out to each other in ways that are safe and respectful and caring and compassionate. And to please wear your mask all the time, please, whenever you're out. I don't want to lose any of you. I don't want any of us to lose anyone that we care about. So let's be strong and let's be together in this time of COVID. We also this week lost our beloved Ruth Bader Ginsburg, a fierce advocate. And when I heard the news this week, I was tempted to throw out my sermon today and just devote all of our time together to honoring the legacy for the ways in which she has changed our lives. I encourage you, if you haven't seen her documentary or her film, to maybe take some time this week to watch it. I know for me, when I watched it for the first time a few years ago, I was struck by how different my life is in ways that I didn't even know because of her work. So Ruth Bader Ginsburg, as so many have said before me, rest in power. We will carry it on for you. Our call to worship this morning is written by Marge Piercy, and it is delivered by myself, or will be delivered by myself and Brenda and Rebecca. And I picked it to do it this way with 3 voices, one from each generation. Well, one from 3 of the generations that are alive on the planet right now, not the only 3, as a way of honoring Ruth Bader Ginsburg and her legacy. So here we go. By Marge Piercy, excerpted from The Low Road. Alone, alone you can fight. You can refuse. You can take what revenge you can, but they roll over you.
But 2 people fighting back to back can cut through a mob. A snake dancing file can break a cordon. An army can meet an army. 2 people can keep each other sane, can give support, conviction, love, massage, hope, sex.
3 people are a delegation, a committee, a wedge. With 4, you can play bridge and start an organization. With 6, you can rent a whole house, eat pie for dinner with no seconds, and hold a fundraising party.
A dozen make a demonstration. 100 fill a hall. 1,000 have solidarity and your own newsletter. 10,000 power and your own paper. 100,000 your own media. 10 million your own country.
And so it goes on, one at a time. It starts when you care to act. It starts when you do it again and they said no. It starts when you say we, and you know who you mean, and each day you mean one more. Beloveds, let us honor Ruth Bader Ginsburg and all she has done with just a moment of quiet conviction and silence. Blessings on your journey. Let us sing together now. Our gathering hymn for September is number 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. And the lyrics will be in your chat box. Our hymn leaders this morning are Mary and David.
We've been singing this one for a few weeks. I would call your attention to the fourth verse, "Don't be afraid of some change."
And to rejoice and come in, and to rejoice and come in. Today will be a joyful day, and to rejoice and come in. Open your ears to the song, open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day, and to rejoice and come in. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day, and to rejoice and come in. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day, and to rejoice and come in. And to rejoice and come in. And to rejoice and come in. Today will be a joyful day, and to rejoice and come in.
We'll now light our chalice together. If you have a candle or a chalice you'd like to light, and if you'd like to unmute yourselves, the words will be placed in the chat box by Lori Quigley for our chalice lighting. And if you'd like to stand and get some energy and do the movements that we do together. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, for the light of truth, and for the energy of action. And Tammy will mute everyone. I'd like to welcome you this morning to South Valley Unitarian Universalist Society. We're an intentionally diverse community and all are welcome here. We would like to extend an especially warm welcome to those of you who are visiting us for the first time. We're so glad you're here and we'd love to get to know you. And our greeter today, Lori, is going to drop our connection card into the chat box. And if you wanted to fill that out and return that, it's a way to start connecting if you are a newcomer. This is really a caring and supportive community, and we're thinking and trying to be creative in how we stay connected during this time. If you're interested in pastoral care, Lori will also put a card there that you can use in the chat box to reach out and let us know that you would like a connection. And all of our online services are intergenerational. We'll soon have a great story time with our Director of Religious Education, who is Rebecca Britt, who was the other person doing the welcome and call to worship earlier. She is happy to hear from anyone about joining in, volunteering as a teacher for the students, or having your kids in religious ed. So please do use the email address that Lori will put in the chat box to reach out to Rebecca as well. And there's a lot happening in our community. Things happening during the week, midweek. Reverend Laura is doing some spiritual snacks where we can get some nourishment in midweek. Please look at our website, the South Valley website, to learn more about those things. There is a congregational meeting today. It'll be at 12:30. What we'll do is after the service, we traditionally take a 10-minute break and then have social time, but we won't take a break. We'll have a little bit of social time and then we will have a break then before the 12:30 congregational meeting, which we hope all will return to, the same Zoom room. And the other announcement for today is very exciting. The National TPS Alliance, Temporary Protected Status is what that stands for, is launching a Journey for Justice tour across the country. And the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee asked South Valley to be part of accommodating and giving some hot meals to the people who are doing this Journey for Justice. They'll be here this coming Friday night, September 25th. And the Alliance is made up of immigrants from 13 different nations whose right to stay in the US is jeopardized by Trump administration actions. Many TPS holders have been in the country for decades and have US citizen children. But if their status is allowed to lapse without congressional action, they face losing their homes and being separated from those children and their families. So in order to increase public awareness and galvanize action, they're spending the next 2 months going across the country and speaking and raising our awareness about this issue. They plan this coming weekend to host an event near Mitt Romney's office. So it's a wonderful opportunity for South Valley to demonstrate our radical welcome and our hospitality, and the board and Reverend Laura have worked together to ensure that hosting this Justice Bus can be done within our COVID-19 guidelines. And so we will be offering meals Friday night and Saturday. And if you want to participate by providing food at home that you prepare at home, and then it can be easily assembled or reheated by our guests, please reach out to Reverend Laura for more information. And we will now share the warmth of community. So you may unmute yourself at this time and maybe go to gallery view and say hello to everyone. It'll be a little chaotic for a minute, so let's do that.
Morning.
Hi everyone. Good to see you all. Hey Eric.
Hello.
David, I like
Hi.
Hello everybody.
Hi.
Everyone.
Right. Well, I gotta go see how to do
So good, and you have to go to 2 pages, see everybody.
Yeah.
All is good.
Mary and
Yay.
David, I like your music.
Thank you. There's Harp.
Hey Janice.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Janice.
Hello. Sandra. Hello.
Everybody.
Hi,
Oh, you
Keith.
got a lot of people
Hi
on.
Chris. Hey Paul. Hi Kari. Hi Annika.
Janice.
Okay.
I can't see it.
Okay, Tammy, let's mute and Rebecca.
All right.
Wow.
Hi everyone, my name is Rebecca Britt. I'm the Director of Religious Exploration. I'm just going to let this story speak for itself. I think it's a really great one. I'm really excited to share it with you today. So this is I Am One. Let me get it started so you can see it. This is I Am One, a book of action by Susan Verde, and the art's by Peter H. Reynolds. So it's dedicated by Susan to everyone who makes a difference, and to Peter H. Reynolds, to Greta Thunberg, who showed the world the power of one young person. How do I make a difference? It seems a tall order for one so small. But beautiful things start with just one. One seed to start a garden. One stroke to start a masterpiece. One note to start a melody. One step to start a journey. One brick to start breaking down walls. And I can speak one gentle word to start a conversation. I can use my one soft voice to start a friendship. I can perform one act of kindness to start a connection. I can share one tender hug to start caring. I can light one candle to start leading the way. This is a picture with no words, dropping some wax into the ocean or to the water. I can make one drop in the water to start ripples that become swells, then waves. Traveling over oceans and across borders and boundaries. Landing on distant shores. To start a chain reaction, inspire a movement, and make a change. I am one, and I can take action. We are each one, and we can take action. One by one, we can make a difference. Because one is all it takes to start something beautiful. The end.
Thank you, Rebecca. It's very appropriate for Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I want everything to be about Ruth Bader Ginsburg as much as possible. I loved her so much. It is our practice here at South Valley to share our Sunday worship offerings with another organization that aligns with our principles and values. For September and October, we have selected the Utah Food Bank. And as many of you know, with many people out of work and struggling to make ends meet, it seems very natural that there'd be an increase of need for food support in our community. And that is exactly the call that Utah Food Bank is answering. And we have an ability to help support their work. I encourage you to give generously as you can to support the reduction of food insecurity in our local community. We do have an online giving app called Givelify, and this allows you to give electronically, and we encourage you to use this app. You can click on the link that has been now dropped into the chat box, or you can download the app on your phone and give that way. This allows us to safely give and to support the work, not just of South Valley, but of our community partners in this time of physical distancing. Lori is now going to put our offering words in the chat box, and you will be unmuted so we can all repeat these words together. We are this church. We are its hands, its heart,
its
voice. Together we share the wealth of this community and sustain it with our gifts.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Dave Lane, and I just wanted to say that I really miss you guys. When I was a boy, each week, Sunday we would go to church, pay attention to the priest. He would read the holy word, consecrate the holy bread. Everyone would kneel and bow, but today the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. When I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two and Jesus made the water wine. I remember feeling sad. Miracles don't happen still. Now I can't keep track. Everything's a miracle. Everything, everything's a miracle. And wine from water is not so small, but an even better, a magic trick is that anything is here at all. So challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but find it where there isn't one. Holy water was rare at best. I barely wet my fingertips. Now I have to hold my breath like I'm swimming in a sea of it. It used to be a world half there, having second-rate hand-me-downs, but I'm walking with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. Everything, everything, everything is holy now. Read question in child's face. Say it's not a testament. That'd be very hard to say. See another new morning come. Say it's not a sacrament. Tell you that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood, I saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush, singing like a scripture verse. Made me want to bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then. Everything is holy now. It used to be a world half there, having second-rate hand-me-downs, but I'm walking with a reverent air. Everything is holy now. Thanks, everybody.
For all that we have received and all we have found the courage to give, may we be truly thankful. May these gifts be a blessing to South Valley and to the Utah Food Bank. I invite you now to join me in a time of meditation, reflection, or prayer. And if you are comfortable, you may close your eyes and let these words wash over you. Spirit of life, Sacred Heart of the world, we walk these days often with a sense of fear and trepidation for what yet might become. But we are reminded in the midst of turmoil and change to not be afraid of some change, to remember that instead we may yet be more fully grounded in our togetherness, and that it starts one at a time, and that as Unitarians, Universalists, seekers, agnostics, and atheists, we are stronger together than we are apart. Call us to the center of our being. Call us to the heart of the world. May our hands be useful. May our minds be focused. And may our hearts be open so that we may be a light of beacon, a light of hope to the world at large. Join me now in a time of silent meditation.
Today marked Rosh Hashanah, and to come is Yom Kippur. These are the high holy days of the Jewish faith. And so to remind us of what we learned from this faith, this reading is from Rabbi Shefa Gold, a leader in the Alliance for Jewish Renewal and director of CDEEP, the Center for Devotional Energy and Ecstatic Practice in New Mexico. From her article, Facing the Music on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. She is also a musician. This is the time to know our own song, to allow the echoes of our thoughts, words, and actions of this past year to ripple through us, awakening knowledge and power for the song that is yet to be born. In Facing the Music, I hear the hesitant strains of my own broken dreams. I wince at the dissonance between intention and deed, between ecstatic ideal and sober reality. I listen carefully to tone and timbre. Where have I been half-hearted in my loving? I listen for harmony and counterpoint. Where have I created discord with my argument or complaint? And I notice pitch. How carefully have I listened? As I follow the line of my own melody, I ask, where is this leading me? This song of my life makes a deep groove, and the record will play over and over and over again. The mind weaves an endless loop, repeating mistakes like bad jingles or notes that fall forever flat without lilt or vigor. Yet on these high holy days, we are given a reprieve from the oppression of habit. We are given the chance to annul the severity of the judgment, which means to stop the song, to hear its complex rhythms and beauty, and to begin to sing again, altering the pattern of this song so that its melody will birth a new singer. And a still small voice is heard, calling forth new life, hope, promise, and vision. So ends our reading for today.
Thank you, Brenda. I learned earlier this week that Rosh Hashanah is often referred to as the birthday of the world, and an opportunity is given to those within the Jewish faith to start again. And this week is a time of reflection as it leads to Yom Kippur. I encourage us to maybe draw from that wisdom this week and to imagine what it is we too are in the process of being renewed in, and what we too have yet an opportunity to make better in ourselves, in our community, and in the world at large. So what does it take? What does it take to walk ever deeper into our own story and get the most out of our living in community with one another? Last weekend during our water communion, I spoke about the salvific nature of Unitarian Universalism and how it is our commitment to pluralistic and a multi-faith approach that is both the premise and the promise of our tradition. And in previous weeks, I've already revealed to you that I myself tend to walk a more theistic path. But wait, what may not yet be absolutely clear is that I can only do this because of the care and the love and the compassion that I have been on the receiving end from my humanist and atheist friends, colleagues, and fellow congregants. So humanist theologies are every bit as salvific as traditional Christian doctrine. And indeed, humanist theologies often act as an important and necessary hedge against those that would insist that there is only one way to kneel and kiss the ground, as Rumi once wrote. And humanism is a core part of our UU tradition, and it is a path that has been forged bravely by many of you for many decades and against great resistance. And some of you bear the scars for having spoken up within a tradition you were born into and can no longer adhere to. And your courage is seen and noted and honored. Your sacrifice is of consequence, for it has resulted in the creation of communities like South Valley, whereby those who find themselves on the outside of a tradition they once loved may yet come to know peace, security, and connection once again. We do life-saving work here every time we honor the multiplicity of voices that make up our tradition. To illustrate this point, let me share a very short wisdom story that I came across some years ago from a collection by Anthony DeMello in his book, The Song of the Bird. The wisdom story is called Monkey Salvation for a Fish. What on earth? So for many centuries, atheists and humanists and the spiritual and non-religious have been those fish in that story that were plucked from the water by the overzealous, who believed that those who did not see the world as they did were in danger of drowning, because they believed that what saved them, something that had been so powerful in their lives, must be what saves others as well. For that which saves the monkey, they believed, must also save the fish. To put that a little less metaphorically, many in our world have imagined and assumed that what saved them must by definition save everybody else. And in that they forgot that what is salvific for one heart may not be the same for another. They forgot that the act of caring for another requires that we understand that the one in front of us, who is not us, is an end in and of themselves and has the right to self-determination and to speak of their own salvation and to work that out in whatever way they choose. They forgot, those overzealous folks, and in their forgetfulness, they've caused much suffering and much pain to their fellow human beings and the planet at large. Yet in spite all of that, during these many centuries, a brave few have resiliently and courageously stood up and claimed their rightful space to find and walk a different path. And I and we owe them a debt of gratitude, for they forged a path and built a beloved community, enduring pariah status, publicly and privately, long before it was popular to claim a non-spiritual path. The first Humanist Manifesto of 1933 was a bold statement given to the world about the necessity for human beings to take charge of their lives and to act responsibly and collectively to alleviate human suffering, not because it was what God wants from us, but because we deem it good for ourselves and for the world. The first Humanist Manifesto called us to affirm rationality, scientific inquiry, and our own human ingenuity in the building of a great society. And in many ways, it was a breath of fresh air to the curious, independent-minded folks who found that the theology that had been preached in the pews was less than what they needed to face the challenges that they experienced in their personal and communal life. And these first religious humanists found safe harbor in liberal Unitarian churches, which had long had a tradition of pushing theological limits. However, like all nascent theologies, this first version had its limitations. Its writers were almost exclusively white, male, educated, and as such, it reflected their worldview. By the 1970s, these limitations have been identified by Black liberation and feminist theologies, and a new version was published. Many of those writers are still with us in our Unitarian Universalist tradition, and their work and their courage in pushing forward humanist theologies is important. They have shifted the dialogue fundamentally in our religious movement and in the world at large. It has not always been an easy road, for the shift has arrived on the shore of an ever-changing culture. And these previous generations of humanists have often found themselves perplexed as the ground beneath them changes yet again. For arriving onto the shores of Unitarian Universalism now are many seekers who have never been within a religious community, and their hunger is different. Their hunger is for a warmth and a generosity and a connectedness and a joyfulness that often can seem as if it's terribly close to the evangelical fervor that the atheists and the humanists from generations past have tried so hard to distance themselves from for fear of that monkey salvation for a fish. We've often lacked language to speak to this ever-changing diversity within a movement. But I know that we can find that middle ground and we can wedge our way through this dialogue yet again, because it is what we have always done as Unitarian Universalists, even and especially when it's really messy. When we face our fears as Unitarian Universalists, we wade in deep with each other and seek to really know one another. That is the heart of our tradition. We have long been a tradition that has been willing to let go of old doctrines that no longer serve us. And we are potentially faced with the opportunity to do that, even in this time. One of the guards that we also must hedge against is those of us who would hold on too tightly to that which no longer serves us. I would call us now, though, to the work of UU minister and former president and academic dean of Meadville Lombard Theological School, William R. Murray. William Murray wrote a phenomenal book a few years ago that squarely faces the problems of our current iterations of humanism and attempts, I think, quite successfully to outline a new path, one that honors the work of past generations of humanists and makes way for the new and the changing humanism that is rising up in our movement and in the world. Murray identifies that our current Unitarian Universalist communities seem to be comprised of two primary groups of people: religious humanists and religious naturalists. Religious humanists reject the supernatural in favor of a wholly natural universe that, quote, exults in being alive in the beautiful universe, and is a non-creedal theology that emphasizes, quote, reason, compassion, community, nature, and social responsibility. Religious naturalists also find religious meaning in the natural world and are generally dismissive also of a supernatural deity, preferring instead to understand the divine spirit as wholly part of nature. And they share many of the same values as the religious humanists in their quest for a justice-filled world. The primary difference between the two is that the religious humanist rejects God on moral, ethical, and rational grounds, while the religious naturalist embraces God, divine, and sacred for those very same reasons. So it's really just an entering in through a different door, but it's the same set of shared values. I think it's critical that we learn to speak honestly and forthrightly into this difference, because it is not something that is of substance so much as it is an orientation and a way of entering into dialogue and conversation. And Reverend Murray has identified that there is yet a middle path that can maybe support and guide us in this conversation. His advocacy is for a warm-hearted humanism that maintains the emphasis on science, on reason, on justice, on community, and adds to it that deeper spiritual language of wonder, of joy, compassion, and most importantly, a strong and consistent commitment to liberation. Liberation has too often been missing from traditional humanist theologies. And Reverend Murray calls our movement to embrace humanistic religious naturalism. Humanistic religious naturalism. A stance that celebrates the best of human life, but locates nature at the center rather than the human being. And that is the core difference. As humanism has evolved and changed, we've moved away from our ethnocentric and anthropocentric views of humanity. Reverend Murray calls us to place nature at the center. And by placing nature at the center, our justice work expands to include not just our fellow human beings, but all the creatures that we share the world with. And by placing liberation at the core, we begin again to practice good theology. For it has been said by many people over many millennia that we may be judged by the least among us. We have a long commitment in Unitarian Universalism of being on that edge, on that saving salvific edge that is both liberative and salvific. When we do this work together, we honor not just the best of our tradition has to offer, but we pave the way for those that will come after us. And I think it's sort of an ironic truth. If we are successful in putting forth humanistic religious naturalism as a pathway and as an opening for our religious movement, we will be a saving force. We will be a saving force that calls us to attend to the least among us. And what poetic justice it would be if our prayers for the world are answered by a godless tradition that honors the human heart and all the earthlings that walk the earth with us. For all may be safe, all may be liberated, and all may be saved, regardless of them being a land dweller or a fish in the sea. May you be well today, and may you find that your journey is enlivened and enriched by those that you share this community with. And may you notice what door you are entering in and throw open all the windows of your spiritual house so that you may be enlivened and refreshed by the diversity that is the heart and the beauty of our beautiful tradition. May you be well, and may it be so. Amen.
Our closing song, the words will get dropped into the chat box. Love will guide us.
Love will guide us, peace has joined us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has joined us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from free to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
Yeah. And so if you'd like to unmute yourself, we will do the chalice extinguishing words together. And those words will be placed in the chat box. I see Lori has already done that. So together we say, we extinguish this chalice,
but
not for the community,
The light
of truth, or the energy of action.
We
We hold each other in our hearts until we meet again.
The autumn equinox is coming up on Tuesday, so the autumn leaves.
Our time of worship is at its close. I see in the chat box that some of you didn't hear the story, so let me just tell it briefly once again. Monkey salvation for a fish. "What on earth are you doing?" said I to the monkey as he plucked a fish from the water. "I'm saving it from drowning," said the monkey. That which saves the monkey does not save the fish. So as you go forth in your day today, may you be blessed, may you be whole, may you walk on the ground and know that it is sacred and it is holy because you are part of this earth and there is nothing that can ever separate you from the love that is the heart of the earth, of the world, and of this community. Blessings, may it be so, and amen. We will now be going straight into our social hour and then pausing and coming back for our congregational meeting at 12:30. I will see you all then.